A very good morning, students. Welcome to today's class on corporate social responsibility. So far, we have completed 4 units, and today we are going to start off with the fifth unit. And the topic that is titled is corporate social responsibility. Now, corporate social responsibility is one of the most commonly used term in the business circles, and some of you might be hearing it for the first time. But those of you who are who frequently go through magazines, and especially business magazines like Business Today, Business World, or Business India, or any of these particular business magazines that we have got, or might be journals like Harvard Business Review, like this, you should have definitely come across this particular word called corporate social responsibility. Right. So let us try and understand what is the meaning of this particular corporate social responsibility, and how important is it to the organization, and how it's going to benefit the organization. So in light of that, when we see a CSR, now corporate social responsibility, it's also known as CSR, and some organizations call it corporate conscious, and there are some organizations which call it as corporate citizenship. So whether it's corporate citizenship, corporate conscience, or CSR, corporate social responsibility is the integration of socially beneficial programs and practices into a corporate business model and culture. So what are we trying to do is we are trying to integrate socially beneficial programs, right? No, to understand CSR, we need to understand that business is never done in isolation, right? Business is in social, no, it's in not done in isolation. Okay, so there are different stakeholders who are involved in the business. Now, some of these particular stakeholders can be called as, there's a public, there are the creditors, there are, channels of distribution members or marketing intermediaries are there, and we have, the other stakeholders like suppliers, vendors. Now all these particular people are part and parcel of business. So when we are doing a business, we need to ensure that you are benefiting all these different stakeholders, or we are taking into consideration and ensure that their businesses also prosper. And most importantly, when certain businesses are being done, we come out with certain toxics. It can be emission of sulfur dioxide, or it can be emission of nitrogen dioxide into the air. Now, similarly, carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide into the air, and sometimes, solid waste is there, and sometimes liquid waste is there. Now, which is going to harm the immediate neighborhood, and this gaseous waste may affect the environment as such. All right. Now, the more we emit this carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide into the atmosphere, now that's going to lead to, it's going to lead to something like global warming, and we have the glaciers melting, the coastlines being flooded by seas and oceans. There are huge repercussions to it. So in light of this, in light of business doing some harm to the immediate neighborhoods, immediate communities, polluting the waters of rivers, polluting the waters of streams, where in places like India, in our country, where lakhs of people and sometimes crores of people are dependent on that water. Say for example, the water of Ganga, the water of Yamuna, right? And then in place like Kanpur, you discharge all the leather industries waste into the river. And similarly, when Yamuna crosses Delhi, now almost all the small scale industries, now they release their waste. Sometimes it can be solid waste, sometimes it is liquid waste. Now they release it into this particular river. So sometimes our rivers are very polluted, most polluted water entities, right? Since all these toxics are released into this water. So there's been a lot of debate, there's been a lot of rage among the public that these industries or businesses are harming the general people, are harming the general public. So in light of that, even government also laid a special emphasis on corporate social responsibility. They said it's high time that when you're doing a business, when you're conducting yourself, you ensure that none of your stakeholders, not only the vendors, suppliers, and the marketing intermediaries, but even public, we need to take into consideration that we are not destroying the immediate neighborhood. We are not putting the lives of the immediate community at stake. We need to protect them, not destroy them. Right. So there's been a lot of debate, and then we move towards this particular sustainable businesses, and then organizations, corporate organizations like ITC, they started coming out with carbon prints. They started saying we are going to be carbon free. Right. So say for example, ITC has got paper mills, ITC paper mills which are located in Bhadrachalam in AP and in other parts of the country. So now they started recycling the waste. The water is one of the most important ingredient for manufacturing paper. Now this particular water previously was let into streams or rivers. Now they started recycling the water within the plant. So they started setting up this recycling plants, and today 60% of the water is again consumed back in various ways. Right, whether you are going to water the garden or plants, or sometimes for other purposes. Right, so this water recycling is happening, and then even for every amount of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide they are releasing into the air. Now similarly they started planting trees and plants which release equal amount of oxygen into the air. Right. So that's how they are making their efforts. Now, so all over, not just in India, even in other parts of the world, today there's a lot of stress on business community to use clean energy. Right. Not to pollute the world, not to pollute the immediate communities, and not to pollute the rivers and streams, the natural bodies, not to destroy them. So so there's a lot of pressure that's coming from different cycles. Today we have got NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and non-profit organizations which lay huge emphasis on CSR of the business organizations. So in light of that, let us try and understand what is meant by CSR and how it's going to benefit us. So we already discussed CSR is an integration, combination of socially beneficial programs and practices. We combine these socially beneficial programs and practices into the business model, into an organization's business model, and we also incorporate them into the organizational culture. Now, what does CSR do? Now, CSR aims to increase long-term profits for offline and online businesses by enabling them. So CSR is going to enable an organization to be more efficient and attract positive attention. And that's how you increase your profits, which also lead to wealth maximization of the investors. Now, what benefits does CSR offer to business? Let us look at that. Right. Now we are going to discuss some activities. Right. We are going to discuss some activities, some strategies that fall under the umbrella of corporate social responsibility. Now, one of them includes preventing financial ramifications. Compliance with the spirit and letter of the law, both nationally and internationally, through self-regulatory process will prevent fines. Put your business low on regulators' radar screens and lower legal expenses. Right. So one particular social responsibility is, now you respect the law of the land. Right. You respect national laws and international laws. Do not break the law. Comply with the spirit, not just the letter, but also with the spirit of the law. Okay, so that's one. So when we comply with the letter and spirit of the law, and we respect the laws nationally as well as internationally, we can prevent these financial ramifications, which at a later stage could turn out into a scandal, or could turn out into a scam and bankrupt an organization, destroying millions of lives of those people who invested their hard-earned money on their businesses, or melt the wealth of the investors. So all these things can be prevented. Right. That's what we mean by preventing financial ramifications. All right. So whatever, the other side of the financial things like scandals and scams can be prevented when organizations comply with the spirit and letter of the law. Next is it increases employee loyalty. Treating your employees fairly and generously is a part of CSR, right? So one particular part of corporate social responsibility is treating your employees fairly and generously. By providing good jobs and encouraging high professional and moral standards, an organization can increase employees' loyalty, and by procuring only those overseas products produced at factories where workers were treated ethically, you gain support among fair trade advocates. Okay. So it also employs, when we follow this corporate social responsibility, we are following the rule of the law. So you are not going to underpay anyone. You are going to pay them competitively. And whatever are the welfare measures that are prescribed under various sections of the law, it can be a minimum wages act for for those who are on the off rolls, who work on a daily basis, something like a minimum wages act. It can be gratuity act, provident fund act, right? And then we have welfare measures under factories act, now safety measures, okay, similarly health measures and welfare measures. Now, all these things will be properly implemented, and we ensure that an employee is protected, right? Protected physically as well as he is protected by the organization in case of any economic downturns or in case of any economic turmoils also. So that's what we mean. So when you protect an employee from the external shocks and when you care for him, obviously employee loyalty is bound to increase. The third aspect is maintaining a positive reputation. Demonstrated consciousness in a variety of areas can garner publicity and give a business tangible proof of their conduct, which can be proudly displayed on the company website. Now, this can be environmental consciousness, reducing waste, recycling them, minimizing carbon footprint, and other best practices. I told you know about ITC. So the number of the amount of carbon dioxide and the carbon monoxide they're releasing into the atmosphere, similar number of plants they happen to plant, so that the oxygen that is emitted and carbon dioxide emitted is equal. So that's what we mean by carbon footprint. And recycling of the water, all right, recycling the water and reducing the solid waste. Now, these are some of the ways. And using or producing only sustainable products, lowering energy usage, and supporting environmental causes will boost a company's green reputation among environmentally concerned clients. Okay. Now, since more and more public, even in the third world countries also today, a lot of attention is given, and then a lot of awareness is being created by NGOs and other non-profit organizations regarding corporate social responsibility. So today, communities and public at large are demanding organizations to be responsible and not to harm the ecology or not to create ecological imbalances, and at the same time not to harm the environment in which they are doing the business. Now, similarly, there is a social concern also, donating to humanitarian causes that fight persistent poverty, helping the victims of epidemics like AIDS or Ebola, right? And in times of earthquakes, showing concern for issues. So very recently, we are hit by this pandemic called coronavirus. And Indian business houses, they are donated very graciously, especially Azim Premji Foundation. Right, Azim Premji is the founder and chairman of Wipro group of organizations. So Wipro organizations, as I mean, especially Azim Premji, out of his personal wealth, he has donated some thousands of crores to the Indian government to fight against this particular coronavirus. Now, such things, they show the humanitarian side of the person. They show the social concern. Similarly, local community involvement in local community projects, either through financial donations, employee participation, connecting customers with project leaders, or promoting a project through advertising and fundraising enhances the CSR credentials. So most organizations resort to building bus shelters, providing clean water to the slum area, people living in the slum areas. And some of them build old age homes and homes for orphans, schools and homes for orphans. And some business organizations, giant organizations, multinational companies like Coca-Cola, they take up certain projects. Like Coca-Cola in combination with NDTV has focused on conserving tiger population in India, which was declining at a rapid rate. Now, because of their involvement, now the tiger population has since then risen drastically, right? And even in places like Karnataka, wherever we have this particular forest reserves in Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Assam, parts of Maharashtra, parts of Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, in this particular east, towards the eastern Ghats and western Ghats of our country, there are good number of corporate organizations which are working with NGOs and which are working with this particular people who are involved in conserving the environmental conservatists. They are working with them, educating the local population, right? At the same time, they are educating the local population how to live in harmony with the nature, how to balance the wildlife also. We should survive, at the same time we should not be destroying the wildlife. So there's a lot going into that. So many organizations have pumped their money. Similarly, Coca-Cola also started another novel concept of building of building washrooms. Right now, many of these particular government schools, and especially in India, the government schools did not have, in the rural areas, they did not have washrooms for female students. Both the male students and female students are forced to defecate in the open, or they were forced to answer the nature's call in nature itself. Now this particular people, they started building up washrooms or toilets in all in most of the rural areas, right? The remote corners of the country, in places like Chhattisgarh, places like Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, these particular areas, where in the remote corners, they spend a good amount of their money building toilets for them, right? Okay, so there are a number of noble causes that are being done. Now ITC regularly keeps on saying, when you purchase this particular ITC notebooks, now every 1 rupee of this particular notebook that you're buying, a 1 rupee is being contributed towards the education of orphans. They're going to fund the education of orphans. Similarly, Tata's invest a lot of money on sports. They encourage the best talent in sports in India, in the country. Right. So much is going on in case of contributing back to the country, contributing back to the local community and local neighborhoods. Now let's look at the corporate social responsibility and corporate sustainability. Now corporate sustainability is derived from the concept of sustainable development, which is defined by Brundtland Commission as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Right. So corporate sustainability is, now you use the resources, natural resources or man-made resources. Now you use those particular resources, but at the same time, you do not handicap the future generations. Now do not pollute so much, do not make the atmosphere so dangerous, so harmful that the future generations cannot live, or do not deplete the natural resources so fast that the future generations do not have any natural resources to live. See, corona virus has opened our eyes. Now in our own country, thousands of people have died because of lack of oxygen. Can you believe that? Oxygen which is freely available in the air, right? Okay, now they needed nascent oxygen, industrial oxygen, of course, and we were unable to provide oxygen to our own people, right? And similarly, water is the one of the biggest problem, especially in Asia and especially in India. We are facing a huge crisis of water. So tomorrow, if people are going to kill one another, they're going to kill for the natural resources. Wars are going to be fought between nations for water, for a resource called water. Right. So, there is so much that's into this particular natural resources. So business organizations are also dependent on natural resources. So ensure that you protect these natural resources. Do not destroy them. Do not wipe them out for the sake of your profits, for the sake of wealth generation of your investors. Now, these business organizations should not wipe out the natural resources and thereby endangering locals who are living on that particular natural resource. Right? Now, sometimes it can be wiping out an entire tribe when you're doing mining business, right? But government should be taking proper business organizations in hand with the government. They should be taking proper care by relocating them to other forests and or not touching those particular areas where relocation is. If relocation is not possible, don't touch those particular areas. Don't touch those particular hills and mountains. Touch others. No, there should be some conscious effort from the business community, right? There should be some conscious effort from the business community not to harm. Okay, so that's what we mean here. All right. Now meet the needs of the present. Nobody is asking you not to do any development. Develop and meet the needs of the do business, but do not compromise on the ability of the future generations. They should also have the same access to the resources the way you're having access to resources today. Do not destroy them. Do not wipe them out. So corporate sustainability essentially refers to the role that companies can play in meeting the agenda of sustainable development. And it also entails a balanced approach to economic progress, social progress, and environmental stewardship. Now, CSR in India, that's corporate social responsibility in India, tends to focus on what is done with profits after they are made. On the other hand, corporate sustainability is about factoring the social and environmental impacts of conducting business. That is how profits are made. Now, you see the difference between CSR and corporate sustainability. Now, corporate social responsibility comes into the picture once profits are made. Once profits are made, now what best you can do to the stakeholders, different stakeholders that are involved, giving bonus to the employees or giving something to the creditors, giving something to the suppliers, something to the better margins to marketing members, channels of distribution members, doing some societal services to the public. Now, all these things can be done when profits are made. So CSR focuses on what to do after once we earn profits. But corporate sustainability is not that. Corporate sustainability focuses on how you are making profits. Right? After making profit, you're doing good. But in the process of making a profit, you're destroying. You're destroying the nature. You're destroying the resources. You're wiping them out. So that's the reason corporate sustainability moves a step further, right? And then it's going to focus on how you are making the profits. Hence, much of the Indian practices of CSR is an important component of sustainability or responsible business, which is a larger idea, a fact that is evident from various sustainability frameworks. An interesting case in the point is national voluntary guidelines for social, environmental, and economic responsibilities of businesses issued by Ministry of Corporate Affairs in June 2011. Principle 8 relating to inclusive development encompasses most of the aspects covered by CSR clause of the Companies Act 2013. However, the remaining 8 principles relate to other aspects of the business. The UN Global Compact, a widely used sustainability framework, has 10 principles covering social, environmental, human rights, and governance issues. Now, what is described as CSR is implicit rather than explicit in these principles. Globally, the notion of CSR and corporate sustainability seems to be converging, as is evident from the various definitions of corporate social responsibility put forth by global organizations. Now, the genesis of this convergence can be observed from the preamble of the recently released draft rules relating to the CSR clause within the Companies Act, New Companies Act 2013. Now, Old Companies Act is 1956. 1956 Companies Act did not focus much on this particular area. No, we had a class then, and also we had CSR involved in the company side, but not much focus was there. Now today, with lot of awareness being created in every stakeholder, now there are certain drastic revolutionary changes we can say relating to the CSR class in the New Companies Act 2013. Okay. Now let's look at corporate social responsibility and business ethics. Now, the need for business ethics in the form of CSR has become so pervasive that even in the traditional and what is perceived as an anti-environmental sector, such as the fossil fuel industry, in a paper written by staff at the International Petroleum Industry Environmental Conservation Association, the author affirmed the need for a good human rights policy and practice. The concept is now gaining importance in the communities in which the industry operates for fostering the global credibility of oil and gas companies and also to help them to continue to exist and engage in business. All right. Now, what type of business are we doing? Now, after corporate sustainability is saying how profits are made. So when you question how profits are made, ethics comes into the picture, right? How are you running your business? Are you running it in it ethically, or are you not running it ethically? You see, one of the aspect when we discuss regarding CSR is financial ramifications, reducing financial ramifications. Now we can reduce the financial ramification when we incorporate ethics into our business, right? So that's what is happening here. In India, recognizing the concerns of ever increasing divide between the vast majority of the masses and increasingly powerful and endowed corporations, the government has today legislated CSR as mandatory. So now government has brought it under the purview of law. So if you're doing business in India, you will have to involve in corporate social responsibility, and it has provided certain provisions for the corporations to report the reasons in case if they are not complying with the CSR clause of Companies Act 2013, they'll have to submit a report why they are unable to comply. Now, the mandatory limits have been defined by an amendment to the Companies Bill 2011 that was passed in Lok Sabha in December 2011. Now, public sector companies and private companies earning over 5 crores in net profit must spend a minimum of 2%. If you're earning more than 5 crores, you should spend a minimum of 2% on CSR. Right? Failing which, you'll have to tell to the government why you are unable to do. Now, bigger corporates have the wherewithal to invest. The large organizations, giant multinational corporations, MNCs, they know where to invest in the local communities they are engaged. Right? I told you the examples of Coca-Cola, right, and other businesses which are involved, like ITC, Coca-Cola. Almost all these particular businesses now they are involved in CSR. Right? Now the SMEs, however, okay, the small and medium sector, enterprise sector, they have a direct connection with the local community. So the accessibility of SMEs to the local community possibly makes it difficult for them to violate ethical expectations. So they benefit from being recognized as an embedded part of the community in which they do business, and therefore they have to work to improve their reputation. They have to work to improve their reputation, their trust, their legitimacy, right, and all these particular things. So the accountability for the SMEs appears to be ensured by the immediate stakeholder and community. It is in the case of big corporate or giant multinational organizations that corporate social responsibility or CSR can provide a beautiful curtain to cover business ethics or its absence. Okay. So what the author is trying to tell us is, now in case of small business organizations, which we call in India as SMEs or SSI, small scale industry, or small and medium enterprises, they have the moral and they have the legal obligations, social obligation and moral obligations to comply with the business ethics, because the immediate community is one of the strong stakeholder. Now all the employees who are working in the small and medium scale industries, they are people from the immediate neighborhood, so they cannot be working in those organizations which are destroying their lives. They're not going to support the businesses which are going to destroy. So they are going to support all such businesses which are going to promote their lives, which are going to enhance and boost them, right? So which means to say that the business ethics is a part and parcel of the business. In case of SMEs, it is only the large and giant multinational companies which do not comply, and using this particular CSR, they also resort to some unfair businesses. So that's where we need to, that's where the law needs to, penetrate and catch hold of this particular corporate organizations. So in the next class, we shall discuss regarding CSR and corporate governance. Now that's an important topic, an interesting topic. So when we meet in the next class, we shall start our discussion with CSR and corporate governance. Now, till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you one and all for your patient hearing.